This is Chats with Baba, brought to you by the Lighthouse for Academic and Cultural Excellence. My name is Jim Young. I'm the one who brings you this Chats with Baba. The purpose is to inform and empower parents of young Black children. That which is being discussed or chatted about is information that's relevant and pertinent to all children. I focus on young Black children simply because when we look at the foundation of literacy as measured by certain things that they do, our children are behind. There's no reason for that. Our children have untapped and undeveloped gifts. I'm saying to parents, you are the major force in releasing the natural genius that's in your child. The quality of experience and exposure lays the foundation for life. Remember, this is a journey. And on this journey, we strive for excellence. Last week, I started by asking some fundamental questions. I started with a quiz. And that quiz had to do with your attitude about math. And I asked the question was, do you like math? Do you believe that math skills are important for life and in the job that you do? Do you see math as useful in everyday life? Or do you dread doing things that involves math? Let's start there. If there is a barrier to math or anything, that barrier is a barrier that we place in our mind. So what we don't want to do is to limit our own possibilities. We don't want to limit our own capacity because of barriers that we impose on ourselves. A lot has to do with attitude and willingness. I'm thinking about many years ago in running the 4-minute mile. It couldn't be done. It just couldn't be done. At least they thought it couldn't be done until a doctor by the name of Roger Bannister came along in 1954 and ran the mile in less than 4 minutes. Once the barrier was broken, then it was a trail of runners in following years that even lowered the amount of time that he ran it in. So the point is, we don't want to impose limits on ourselves because of an attitude. I want to stay there. I want to stay here for a minute because it's important. It's important for you to understand how critical, how important what you do in laying out the foundation for mathematics during the early years of development. Here we are in early October, getting ready to get into the playoffs in Major League Baseball. The Braves, the Atlanta Braves are a participant. One of the coaches in the Braves team, he's the third base coach, Washington, drills on a daily basis with the ball players the most fundamental skills in baseball. And he does it in a small circle, and the ball players have their glove, and it's a little drills that he goes through. The ball players attribute much of their success to going over these routines. It's not that they can't do them; it's a reminder of how important the basic skills are in baseball. Fundamentals. Great coaches start their season off by going over drills, the most fundamental drills in the sport, whether it's basketball, baseball, soccer, it doesn't matter. One of the greatest coaches in basketball, John Wooden, who coached at UCLA for years. At the end of each year, whatever information he had on paper, he kind of put that aside looking at whether or not that would be applicable to the ball players coming in. In other words, one of the things that he did was to assess what the ball players were bringing to the game. And based upon what he saw, then he knew what things he needed to work on to shape them into a winning team. He did what no other coach has ever done, won 10 national championships, back to back to back. Much of that learning, much of that winning had to do with an attitude. So I want to spend a little bit of time today to talk about ways to help children to develop a positive attitude towards math, okay? Ways that children can develop a positive attitude towards math. It's important to understand that from the moment that children are born, they are ready to learn. Let me say that again. From the moment that children are born, they are ready to learn, okay? You don't have to wait until they're a certain age. From birth moving forward, they are ready to learn. And I think during this period, during this early period of development, you've heard me say in the past, it's important that you as a parent invest in your child. We as a nation do not put enough investment in the early years of one's development. Okay, that's important. Let me just talk more generally now. What the research tells us that is this: for every dollar that we invest in our children, there's a payoff. Okay, there's a payoff just for investing in the first 8 years of development. Those 8 years are critical, not only for success in school, but for success in life. And that's been well documented. So I say that to say that whatever your attitude is or was about math, we don't want to transfer or commit that to children. One of the things that enables children to feel good about themselves and to learn is they have a good sense of who they are, their self-esteem. I like math. I can do math. So I'm saying to you, as you are working with children on math concepts and terminology that we'll be talking about, help them to develop a healthy attitude of what math is. That doesn't mean that everything that they do is going to be right. Part of learning is to correct mistakes as you're moving forward. Understand this: math is everywhere. Math is all around you. Everybody can be good in math if you have a healthy attitude towards it. So being right is not always going to be the thing that happens. Sometimes you're going to make errors, and sometimes you get a little frustrated. And when that happens, just back off, take a deep breath, and go back at what it is that you were doing. Help that with the children. You will see young children getting frustrated in things that they're doing, things that you are providing for them, and so forth and so on. So if they encounter something that seems to be a little frustrating, what you can help them to do is, I can do attitude. I can do this. If there's a little frustration, you have it figured out before the child, and help them to figure out and correct whatever mistakes that they're making. You also want to talk math. Everything around you, everything around them is math related. Their toes, their fingers, parts of their body, the buttons on this shirt. So what I'm saying is so much in the environment that speaks about math. Math helps to solve problems. No matter what the problem is, it probably has something in it that is related to math and or numbers. And you have to look at it from that standpoint. And if it's about solving problems, break the problems down into steps. And you can do that by asking questions. What is it that you're trying to do? What is it that you need to figure out? And what aspect of math do I need to apply here? Is it adding? Is it subtracting? Is it multiplying? Is it dividing? Is it measuring? Is it up? Is it down? And so forth and so on. So ask questions about what it is that you're trying to figure out. You also want to focus on working out the situation. And then and that helps to get one's attention to what it is that she or he is doing. So remember, attitude impacts all of what you're doing. So I want to talk a little bit about things that you do to motivate your child who want to learn. When you are doing math kinds of things, math kinds of activities, you have those materials that speak to that particular skill and or activity. So you have an atmosphere that is math oriented or arithmetic oriented. And that's part of the key. Let children dabble in what they're doing, play with the things that they have that you put around them, and so forth and so on. Let your child take the lead in what he or she is trying to do relative to the activity. Let them take the lead. Let them show you what they think they're capable of doing. Your job is to steer them and to motivate them as they are dabbling. As they are dabbling, I encourage you to talk to them. Talk to them about what it is that they're doing. Try this, try that. Open this, close that, turn this, and on and on and on. So while they are engaging, you want to spend time communicating with them. It's also important that you focus on what it is that a child is doing, not what you want them to do, but focus on what they're attempting to do. And while you're doing that, observe and encourage them to continue what they're doing. If it's something that needs a little effort you can provide that effort. Don't do it for them, but provide a little effort. You also want to share and demonstrate an enthusiasm for what it is that they're doing. Give them words of encouragement. Good, I like what you're doing. Oh, let's try that again. So make it a happy atmosphere. Also, you want to also, as if you are playing a game. Typically, when you're playing a game, you're trying to have fun, and you want to make the activity that is fun oriented. You also want to focus on what the child is doing in terms of what he or she is gaining from learning about the activity, not so much in terms of his or her performing, getting it right, but what is it that they're doing that enables them to move towards some level of success, okay? You also want to help your child to stay focused and organized. Don't have too many things around them when they are engaging. If you start off with a number of things that they can select from, then once they make a selection, move the other items out of the way so they can focus on this one particular activity. Now remember, no matter what they do, it's not wrong, okay? Because it's trying to discover or explore what the possibilities are in this particular activity. So there is no wrongness in what they're doing. As they are engaging, okay, they will work towards figuring it out. And as they are doing this, your goal is to encourage them. Your goal is to notice what are the things that they can do and do well, and other things they seem to struggle with and turn away from. So you're focusing, like any good coach would do, is to focus on the strengths of what they're doing. Now, when it looks like they're reaching a point of frustration, just stop. Just stop. Get them to attend to what you're doing. Hug them, say words of encouragement, and if they still have a high level of interest, go back to it. Now, remember, we're talking about preschoolers. Okay, we're talking about preschoolers, and we are talking about laying out that foundation for math. Make every day a learning day. Go back and talk about what we did yesterday, review what you did yesterday, and turn what you're going to do today into a fun activity. Engage them into it, engage them in the process. Review what they did yesterday, show them what they did the previous day. All of this does what? It helps them to develop a healthy attitude towards mathematics. Their attitude and what they do in math is going to pertain to the amount of energy that you put into helping them to lay out this foundation. So I know I've said a lot in a very short period of time, but those are the points I think is necessary. And you want to go slow. You want to go slow. Today's effort was to talk about things that motivate your children to want to do math. Today's effort was to review those fundamental questions I said to you. Do you like math? Our attitude, our behavior, we can transfer to children in one of two ways. It can be positive or it can be negative. I don't want to talk about anything that's negative as it relates to young children. Remember, their brain cells are developing as they are having successes in the activities that you're providing. Their brain cells are making connections of what seems to work and what doesn't work and why it works. Remember the why questions, the how questions, the motive things that will motivate them to learn. So today's effort was to enable you as a parent to want to motivate your child to want to have a healthy foundation towards developing math. We will continue with this discussion in our podcast next week. So you have time, visit my website and have a good, motivational, strong week in laying the foundation out for mathematics. Have a good day.